The Grand Meridian Ballroom was exactly the kind of place my parents loved. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, waitstaff in tuxedos carrying champagne on silver trays. Expensive, ostentatious. A venue that screamed, "Look how successful we are," to anyone within a 5-mile radius. I'd arrived with gifts. 3 of them, carefully wrapped, sitting in the passenger seat of my car. A Cartier watch for Dad, a Hermes scarf for Mom, and for my sister Emily, because there's always something for Emily. A designer handbag she'd mentioned wanting 6 months ago and had brought up in every conversation since. $12,000 in gifts total. Not that anyone would thank me, they never did. I parked in the underground garage and took the elevator up to the main hall. The party was already in full swing. At least 80 people, maybe more. Extended family, parents' friends, business associates, people I didn't know and would never see again. All of them dressed to the nines, all of them drinking expensive wine, all of them pretending this was some kind of milestone celebration. It wasn't. There was no anniversary, no birthday, no special occasion. My parents just liked throwing parties to show off. And I, like an idiot, kept showing up. "Michael!" My mother spotted me immediately. She was wearing a burgundy gown that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Paid for by me, of course, though she'd never acknowledge that. "You're late." "Traffic," I said, holding up the gift bags. "Where should I put these?" "Oh, just set them on the gift table." She waved dismissively toward a table already overflowing with wrapped boxes and envelopes. Then she leaned in, lowering her voice. "Your father wants to talk to you. It's important." Something in her tone made my stomach drop. "About what?" "You'll see. Don't make a scene, Michael. This is a nice event." Before I could respond, she'd already turned away, greeting someone else with the same fake enthusiasm she'd shown me. I set the gifts down and grabbed a glass of water from a passing waiter. I didn't drink at these things. I'd learned that lesson years ago. Stay sober, stay alert. Because you never know when you'll need to write a check or smooth over some embarrassment my family has created. Emily found me first. My sister. 28 years old, never worked a real job in her life, and somehow always looked like she'd just stepped out of a magazine. Tonight she was wearing a white cocktail dress that probably cost $3,000, also paid for by me. Though she'd framed it as a loan, she had every intention of never repaying. "Michael, you actually came." She air-kissed both my cheeks, her perfume overwhelming. "I thought you'd bail like you always do." "I don't always bail." "You missed Mom's birthday dinner last month." "I was in Tokyo on business. I sent flowers and a gift card." "Still, you should make more of an effort." She smiled, but there was something calculating in her eyes. There always was. "Anyway, Dad wants to talk to you. He has something amazing planned." "So I've heard. What is it?" "You'll see." She practically bounced with excitement. "Oh, Michael, it's going to be perfect. This family deserves good things, you know?" I wanted to ask what she meant by this family, and whether she realized I was part of that family too, but she'd already grabbed my arm and was pulling me toward the center of the ballroom. That's when I saw them. Mom and Dad standing beneath the main chandelier like they were about to give a speech. My father was wearing his best suit, the Armani I'd bought him for his birthday 2 years ago, and holding a microphone someone had handed him. This was planned. Whatever was about to happen, they'd choreographed it. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. Emily positioned me right in front of them, in the center of a growing circle of guests. People were putting down their drinks, turning to watch. Someone dimmed the ambient lighting. A spotlight, an actual spotlight, clicked on, illuminating the 3 of us. My father cleared his throat into the microphone. The room went silent. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began, his voice booming through the speakers. "We're so grateful to be surrounded by family and friends, by people who've supported us through the years. Tonight is special for many reasons, but mainly because we get to celebrate what really matters. Family, unity, love." Polite applause. I stood there, confused, waiting for the point. "As many of you know," my father continued, "my son Michael has been very successful in his career. Very successful." He paused for effect. "He's done well for himself, made good money, built a nice life." More applause. People were looking at me now, smiling, nodding. I felt my face getting hot. And as his parents, we couldn't be prouder. But what makes us truly proud isn't just his success, it's his generosity, his willingness to support his family, to give back to the people who raised him, who sacrificed for him, who made him the man he is today. I didn't like where this was going. My mother took the microphone. Our daughter Emily has had a harder time. Through no fault of her own, life has been more challenging for her. She struggled to find her footing, to establish herself, and as parents, it breaks our hearts to see one child thriving while the other struggles. The room had gone quiet, uncomfortably quiet. So tonight, my mother said, smiling at me with a warmth that didn't reach her eyes, we want to correct that imbalance, and we want to make things fair. My father took the microphone back. Michael, your sister needs stability. She needs security. She needs a home where she can finally feel safe and build her future. And you, well, you have more than you need. You have that beautiful penthouse in Riverside Towers. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a view of the entire city. No, they weren't. So tonight, in front of everyone who loves this family, we're asking you to do the right thing. My father's voice hardened. Give your sister the keys to your penthouse. Sign over the deed. Let her have the home she deserves. You can afford another place. You make enough money. It's time to be a good brother. It's time to share. The room erupted in murmurs. Some people looked shocked. Others nodded in agreement, like this was somehow reasonable. I stood there, frozen, unable to process what I'd just heard. Emily stepped forward, her hand extended, palm up. It's okay, Michael. I know this is hard, but it's the right thing. You know it is. She was serious. They were all serious. No, I said quietly. My father's expression darkened. What did you say? I said no. Louder this time, clear. That penthouse is mine. I bought it. I paid for it. It's not up for negotiation. Michael, my mother started. No, Mom, this is insane. You can't just demand I give away my home. We're not demanding, my father said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. We're asking, as your parents, as your family. We're asking you to do the right thing. The answer is no. Emily's face crumpled. Actual tears formed in her eyes. Why are you being so selfish? You have everything, Michael, everything, and I have nothing. You can't even do this one thing for me? You have nothing because you don't work, Emily, because you spend every dollar you get, most of which comes from me, on clothes and trips and things you don't need. How dare you? My mother's voice was shrill. Your sister has been struggling with depression, with anxiety, with entitlement, I finished. She's been struggling with thinking the world owes her something, and you've enabled it, both of you, for her entire life. The room was dead silent now. Guests were staring, some with their mouths literally open. My father stepped closer. His face was red. His hands were shaking. You will give your sister those keys. You will sign those papers. Tonight. Or you are no longer my son. Then I guess I'm not your son. I turned to leave. That's when he hit me. The slap came from nowhere. A full swing with his open palm that connected with the side of my face so hard I stumbled. The sound echoed through the entire ballroom like a gunshot. I tasted blood, felt it, warm and copper, in my mouth. My cheek was on fire. The entire room froze. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. I touched my face, looked at my fingers. Blood. My lip had split. My father was breathing hard, his hand still raised, his eyes wild. You ungrateful piece of... Richard! My mother grabbed his arm. No, not here, not in front of everyone. But it was too late. He'd already done it. In front of 80 witnesses, he'd struck me like I was a child, like I was nothing. Emily stood beside them, and I saw it, just for a second, a smile. Small, satisfied. She thought she'd won. I wiped the blood from my mouth with the back of my hand, and I smiled. Not a nice smile, not a forgiving smile. A smile that said, "You have no idea what you just did." I turned and walked toward the exit. Slowly, deliberately, every step echoing on the marble floor. "Michael," my mother called. "Michael, come back here. We need to finish this conversation." I kept walking. "You walk out that door," my father shouted, "and you're cut off. Do you hear me? Cut off." I reached the main doors, pushed them open, stepped into the cool night air of the lobby. Behind me, I could hear my family arguing, my sister crying, guests murmuring in shock and confusion. I pulled out my phone, and I pressed one button. I need to explain something before I tell you what that button did. My family didn't used to be like this. Or maybe they did, and I was just too young to see it. I'm the oldest. Michael Chen, 32 years old, VP of Operations at Meridian Tech Solutions. I've worked there for 8 years, climbed the ladder, made good money. Not rich, not like billionaire rich, but comfortable. Very comfortable. Penthouse apartment, nice car, savings, investments. The kind of life you build through 60-hour weeks and learning to say no to everything except work. Emily is 4 years younger. She's the baby, the favorite, the one who could do no wrong. When we were kids, it wasn't so obvious. She got a little more attention, sure, but that's normal for younger siblings. Mom and Dad were stricter with me, more lenient with her, standard stuff. But as we got older, the pattern became impossible to ignore. I went to college on a partial scholarship and student loans, worked 2 jobs to cover expenses, graduated with $60,000 in debt. Emily went to college on my parents' dime, full tuition, room and board, spending money. When she decided she wasn't feeling her major, they let her switch. 3 times. She finally graduated with a degree in communications after 6 years. I got my first job and moved out immediately. Started paying down my loans, building my career, trying to become independent. Emily moved back home, didn't look for work. She needs time to figure out what she wants to do, my mother said. 1 year became 2, 2 became 5. At 23, Emily decided she wanted to be a fashion blogger. My parents thought it was wonderful. I thought it was a phase. I was right. She bought expensive clothes, on credit cards my parents had co-signed for, threw parties, posted photos, got maybe 200 followers. The blog died after 4 months. The credit card debt didn't. $35,000 spread across 3 cards. My parents asked if I could help out, just this once, just to get Emily back on her feet. I paid $20,000 of it. They promised they'd pay me back. They never did. At 25, Emily decided she wanted to be a photographer. Needed a professional camera, lenses, equipment. Another $8,000. My parents bought half, asked if I could cover the rest as an investment in her future. I did. The photography business lasted 6 months. At 26, Emily wanted to open an online boutique. Needed startup capital, inventory, web design, another $15,000. This is the one, Michael. I can feel it. I gave her $10,000. The boutique closed after 3 months. Inventory sold at a loss. Money gone. And through it all, my parents praised her. At least she's trying, they'd say. At least she has dreams. You're so practical, Michael. So boring. Emily has passion. Meanwhile, I was working my way up at Meridian, getting promotions, taking on more responsibility. I bought my first apartment at 27. Nothing fancy, just a 1-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. My parents never came to see it. Too busy helping Emily move into her 3rd apartment in 2 years, another place I was subsidizing. At 28, I got my biggest promotion. VP of Operations, huge salary increase, stock options, real money. That's when the penthouse came on the market. Riverside Towers, luxury building, 28th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, chef's kitchen, private balcony. It was a foreclosure, priced below market, and I had the down payment saved up. I bought it. Best decision I ever made. I invited my parents over for the housewarming. They came, they looked around, and my mother's first words were, "This is too much space for one person." Not congratulations, not, "We're proud of you." Just judgment. Emily didn't come to the housewarming. She texted me. Must be nice to have everything while some of us are still struggling. I just sent her $2,000 for car repairs the week before. The pattern continued. Every month, like clockwork, there was something. Emily needed help with rent. Her car broke down again, her phone bill was overdue. She needed money for a certification course, for a networking event, for new clothes, for a job interview that never materialized. And every time, my parents would call me. "She's your sister, Michael. Family helps family." So I helped. $500 here, $1,000 there, sometimes more. I kept a spreadsheet. Over 3 years, I'd given Emily $73,000. Not loaned, given. She never paid back a cent. Meanwhile, I was also subsidizing my parents. They lived in a nice house they couldn't afford, drove cars that were too expensive, took vacations they put on credit cards, and when those bills came due, they'd call me. "Just this once, Michael. We'll pay you back next month." They never did. I started setting boundaries at 30, told them I couldn't keep funding everyone's lifestyle, that Emily needed to get a real job, that they needed to live within their means. My mother cried, said I was being cruel, that I'd changed, that money had made me cold. My father got angry, said I was selfish, that I'd forgotten where I came from. That family is supposed to support each other. Emily sent me a long text about how I'd never understood how hard her life was, how I'd always had it easy, how I'd been the favorite growing up, a complete fantasy, and how the least I could do was help her now. I felt guilty. Of course I did. They're experts at making me feel guilty, so I kept paying, kept helping, kept enabling. Until 6 months ago, when Emily called me with exciting news. She'd found the perfect apartment. A penthouse, smaller than mine, but beautiful, modern, in a great neighborhood. Only $4,500 a month. I can afford it, she said. I'm getting serious about my career. I'm going to make this work. I asked what career. She said she was going to be a lifestyle coach, that she'd been doing a lot of soul-searching and had realized her calling was helping other people find their purpose. The irony was not lost on me. That's great, Em. I'm happy for you. The thing is, I need first and last month's rent plus deposit, and some furniture, just to get started. After that, I'll be totally independent. How much? 15,000? I know it's a lot, but no. Silence. What do you mean, no? I mean no. I'm not giving you $15,000. Get a job, save up, do it the way everyone else does. Michael, I can't believe you're being like this. This is my chance to finally get a job, Emily. She hung up on me. The next day, my parents called. Angry, disappointed. How could I refuse to help my own sister? Didn't I know how hard she was trying? Wasn't I ashamed of myself? I held firm. For once, I held firm. Emily didn't get the penthouse. She ended up in a regular apartment, $100 to $800 a month, that my parents co-signed for. Which meant when she inevitably couldn't make rent, they'd be on the hook. Which meant I'd be on the hook, because they'd call me for help. But at least I'd said no. At least I'd set a boundary. For 6 months, there was a cold war. Minimal contact, tense text messages, awkward silences during obligatory family dinners. Then came the invitation to this party. A family celebration, the card said. No specific occasion. Just a party. I should have known better. I should have seen it coming. But some part of me, the stupid, hopeful part, thought maybe they'd moved on. Maybe they'd accepted my boundaries. Maybe we could actually have a normal relationship. Instead, they'd planned an ambush. A public humiliation designed to pressure me into giving Emily what she wanted. My home. The thing I'd worked years to afford. The one space that was truly mine. And when I'd refused, my father had hit me. In front of everyone. Like I was property. Like I was nothing. That was the moment I stopped feeling guilty. That was the moment I stopped caring whether they loved me. That was the moment I decided to press the button. I stood in the lobby of the Grand Meridian, phone in hand, blood still dripping from my split lip. The button I'd pressed was simple, a single tap on an app I'd been building for months. Let me explain. 3 months ago, I'd had lunch with David Park, my attorney and one of the few people who actually understood what I was dealing with. I'd told him about my family, about the endless requests for money, about how I felt trapped. You need an exit strategy, he'd said. Not just emotionally, legally, and financially. If things ever go nuclear, you need to be able to cut them off completely. Clean, final. No room for them to come back. So we'd built one. It had taken weeks of work. Documentation, contracts, automated systems, digital paper trails, everything meticulously organized and ready to deploy. The app on my phone was the trigger. One button that activated everything simultaneously. Financial freezes, legal notifications, security protocols, asset protections, everything I'd set up, everything I'd prepared for the day they finally pushed too far. And they'd pushed. God, they'd pushed. I touched my lip again, winced at the sting. Then I typed a quick text to David. It's done. They're all yours. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, on my way. 10 minutes. I pocketed my phone and looked back at the ballroom doors. I could still hear shouting. My mother's voice, shrill and panicked. My father's voice, angry and demanding. I smiled. They had no idea what was coming. I walked to the parking garage, got in my car, and sat there in the silence. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline. From the sheer relief of finally taking control. My phone buzzed. A text from my building's head of security. Instructions received. Ms. Emily Chen has been flagged. Building ban in effect immediately. Photo distributed to all security personnel. Another buzz. From my financial advisor. Automatic payments canceled per your instructions. All accounts severed. Confirmation codes attached. Another buzz. From David. I'm here. Showtime. I got out of the car and walked back to the lobby. I wanted to see this. The elevator doors opened, and David stepped out, followed by 2 other people. One was Maria Santos, an investigator we'd hired. The other was Catherine Wells, the building manager of the Grand Meridian. David saw me and nodded. You okay? I touched my lip. I'll live. That's going to be evidence. Take photos. Document everything. I pulled out my phone and took several shots of my face. The split lip, the swelling cheek, the blood on my collar. Good, David said. Now let's go ruin their night. We walked to the ballroom entrance. Inside, the party had descended into chaos. Guests were clustered in groups, whispering. Some were leaving. My parents were near the center, arguing with each other. Emily was crying, surrounded by sympathetic aunts. Catherine Wells pushed the doors open wide and stepped inside. The room went quiet. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said loudly, her voice professional and cold, "I apologize for the interruption. I'm Catherine Wells, manager of this venue. I need to speak with Richard and Michelle Chen immediately." My parents turned, confused. "Who are you?" my father demanded. "This is a private event?" "Yes, sir. A private event being held in a venue you no longer have permission to occupy." My mother's face went white. "What are you talking about?" David stepped forward, pulling out a folder. "Mr. and Mrs. Chen, my name is David Park. I'm legal counsel for Michael Chen. 3 months ago, my client purchased this building and the Grand Meridian event space. You've been hosting your party in his property, without his knowledge, and certainly without his permission." The room erupted. Gasps. Shouting. Someone dropped a glass. My father's face turned purple. "That's impossible. We rented this space. We have a contract." "A contract with the previous owners," Catherine said. "That contract was honored under the new ownership, until tonight. However, you've now violated multiple terms of the rental agreement, including assault on the premises." She looked directly at my father. "You struck Mr. Chen in front of multiple witnesses. That constitutes criminal battery. As of this moment, your rental contract is terminated, and you are being evicted from this property." My mother looked like she might faint. "Michael, you wouldn't—" I stepped into the room, all eyes turned to me. "I would," I said calmly. And I did. Emily pushed through the crowd. "Michael, please, this is insane. You can't kick Mom and Dad out of their own party." "It's not their party," I said. "It's my building, and they assaulted me. They publicly demanded I give you my home. They've spent years treating me like an ATM. I'm done." David opened the folder. "I also have documentation here regarding financial support Mr. Chen has provided to this family. Over the past 5 years, he has given a total of $347,000 to various family members. None of it was ever repaid. In addition, he has been subsidizing his parents' mortgage, car payments, and credit cards to the tune of $4,200 per month for the past 3 years." The guests were staring at my parents now. The whispers had started. "All of that ends tonight," David continued. "Every automatic payment has been canceled. Every credit card he paid for has been closed. Every financial tie has been severed, legally and permanently." My mother started crying. "Michael, you can't do this to us. We're your parents. We raised you." "You raised me to be your backup bank account," I said. "You raised Emily to believe she's entitled to whatever she wants without working for it. Well, that stops now." Maria Santos stepped forward. "Ms. Emily Chen?" Emily looked up, tears streaming down her face. "What?" "I'm Maria Santos, private investigator. I've been hired to deliver this." She handed Emily an envelope. Emily opened it with shaking hands. As she read, her face went from confused to horrified. "What is it?" my mother demanded. Emily's voice was barely a whisper. It's a lawsuit. For fraud." The room went silent. "Fraud?" my father repeated. David nodded. 6 months ago, Ms. Emily Chen forged her brother's signature on a loan application. She attempted to secure a $50,000 personal loan using his credit and income information without his consent. The bank flagged it as suspicious and contacted Mr. Chen. He instructed them to deny the application but kept the evidence. We're now filing criminal charges for identity theft and loan fraud. Emily's legs gave out. She collapsed into a chair, the papers falling from her hands. "Emily?" My mother rushed to her. "Emily, is this true?" My sister couldn't even look at her. "It's true," I said. "She tried to steal from me. And when that didn't work, you all tried to steal my home? Well, here's what you get instead." I pulled out my own phone, opened a document, and handed it to my father. "What is this?" "A cease and desist order. If any member of this family attempts to contact me for any reason, phone calls, texts, emails, showing up at my home or office, you will be charged with harassment. If any of you attempt to access my property, you'll be charged with trespassing. If any of you make false claims about me to employers, friends, or anyone else, you'll be charged with defamation and sued for damages." My father's hand was shaking so hard he dropped the phone. Catherine Wells stepped forward again. You have 15 minutes to collect your personal items and exit the building. After that, you will be removed by security. 15 minutes? My mother shrieked. The party isn't over. We have guests. Your guests are welcome to stay, Catherine said. You are not. My father turned to me, his eyes desperate now, all the anger gone. Michael, son, please. We can talk about this. We can fix this. Just don't do this. Not in front of everyone. You slapped me in front of everyone, I said quietly. You tried to force me to give away my home in front of everyone. You made a spectacle of our dysfunction because you thought shame would make me comply. Well, here's your spectacle. Enjoy it. I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother screaming, my father shouting, Emily sobbing, guests murmuring in shock and judgment. I walked through the lobby, out the front doors, into the cool night air. David caught up with me. You okay? Yeah. I took a deep breath. Yeah, I'm okay. Security will make sure they leave. We've got everything documented. The assault, the attempted extortion, Emily's fraud. If they try anything at all, we bury them. Good. You sure about this? No second thoughts? I touched my split lip, felt the dried blood on my chin. No second thoughts. David nodded. Then it's done. You're free. Free. I'd been supporting them for so long I'd forgotten what that word meant. But I was about to find out. The story spread fast. Within hours of the party, my phone started receiving messages. Not from my parents. They'd been escorted from the building by security at 9:47 p.m., their belongings hastily stuffed into trash bags, their faces red with humiliation and rage. No, these messages were from everyone else. Aunt Linda called first, at 11:23 p.m. I was still awake, sitting in my penthouse, ice pack against my swollen cheek, documenting everything that had happened. I let it go to voicemail. Her message: Michael, I don't know what's going on, but your mother just called me sobbing. She says you've gone crazy, that you kicked them out of a party, that you're threatening them with lawsuits. This isn't like you. Please call me back. We need to sort this out. I deleted it without responding. Then came Cousin James at 11:45 p.m. I answered this one. Dude, what the hell happened? He sounded genuinely confused. I'm seeing posts on Facebook about some kind of fight at your family's party. People are saying your dad hit you. Is that true? It's true. Holy shit. Are you okay? I'm fine. What are you going to do? I already did it. I cut them off. Completely. They're done. Silence on the other end. Then, Michael, they're your family. I know they can be difficult, but they demanded I give Emily my penthouse, in front of 80 people. When I refused, my father hit me so hard I bled. Then I found out my sister tried to commit loan fraud using my identity. There's no coming back from that, James. More silence. Jesus, I didn't know it was that bad. Nobody did. I kept it quiet, but I'm done keeping it quiet. I'm done protecting them from consequences. What happens now? Now they learn to support themselves, and I get to live my life without being their ATM? James was quiet for a moment. You know half the family is going to take their side, right? They're already spinning this like you're the villain. Let them. I have evidence. I have documentation. I have 80 witnesses who saw Dad hit me. Anyone who believes their lies over facts isn't someone I need in my life anyway. Fair enough. For what it's worth, I believe you. I've seen how they treat you. It was only a matter of time before something like this happened. Thanks, James. Take care of yourself, man. And if you need anything, testimony, whatever, I'm here. I appreciate that. We hung up, and I felt a small measure of relief. At least one person understood. But James was right. By morning, the narrative war had begun. I woke up at 7 a.m. to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Most of them from relatives I barely knew, most of them angry. Aunt Linda again. Michael, your mother is devastated. I don't care what happened. You don't treat your parents like this. You need to apologize and fix this immediately. Uncle Robert, your father called me in tears. Tears, Michael. What kind of son makes his father cry? Call them, apologize. Make this right. Cousin Sarah, I can't believe you'd embarrass your family like this. Everyone is talking about it. You've made us all look bad. Whatever your issues are, you handle them privately. On and on. Message after message. All of them assuming I was the problem. All of them taking my parents' side without asking for my version of events. I responded to none of them. Instead, I forwarded everything to David with a note. Document all of this. They're building a case for harassment. David called me immediately. How are you holding up? Fine. My face hurts, but I'm fine. Good. Listen, I'm getting calls too. From their lawyer. He's threatening all kinds of things. Elder abuse, financial abandonment, emotional distress. It's all bullshit, but they're going to make noise. Let them. Michael, I need you to understand something. This is going to get ugly. They're going to tell everyone who'll listen that you're a monster. They're going to try to destroy your reputation. Are you prepared for that? I have documentation of everything they've done. I have witnesses. I have evidence of Emily's fraud. If they want to make this a public fight, I'll win. Okay, just making sure you're ready. Because once we respond to their threats, there's no going back. There's already no going back. They hit me, David, in front of 80 people. My father hit me like I was a child, like I was nothing. There's no relationship to salvage. Understood. I'll send the response today. By day 2, the social media campaign had started. My mother posted on Facebook, "When your own child turns against you for no reason, it breaks your heart in ways you can't describe. Praying for healing and forgiveness." The post got hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments. "Stay strong, Michelle. Children can be so ungrateful. I'm so sorry you're going through this." Nobody asked what actually happened. Nobody questioned her version. They just accepted it and offered sympathy. Emily posted next. "Sometimes the people you love most hurt you the deepest. Struggling to understand how family can be so cruel, but I guess money changes people. More likes, more sympathy. You deserve better, Em. Real family sticks together. He's missing out. Praying for you, sweetie." I watched it all from my phone, screenshots piling up, and felt nothing but contempt. They were playing the victim card perfectly, manipulating people who didn't know the truth. But I'd expected this. David had warned me. "They'll try to control the narrative," he'd said. "Let them. We have facts, they have feelings. Facts win in court." So I stayed silent. Didn't defend myself publicly. Didn't engage with the social media circus. Instead, I went to work. At 9 a.m. on day 2, I was called into a meeting with HR. Jane Morrison, the head of Human Resources, looked uncomfortable as I sat down across from her. "Michael, I'm sorry to bring you in like this, but we received a complaint." "From who?" "It was anonymous, but the complaint alleges that you've been volatile lately, making threats against family members, exhibiting unstable behavior. Given your position here, we have to take these things seriously." I set my phone on the desk and pulled up the photos I'd taken after the party. My split lip, my swollen cheek, the blood on my collar. "Here's what actually happened," I said calmly. "My parents threw a party on Saturday. In front of 80 witnesses, they demanded I give my penthouse to my sister. When I refused, my father assaulted me. That's battery. I have witnesses. I have photos. I have video footage from the building's security cameras. The threats they're referring to are cease and desist orders issued through my attorney because they won't stop harassing me." Jane's expression changed immediately. "Oh my God. Michael, I'm so sorry. We didn't know." "I know. They filed the complaint to try to damage my career. It's part of a pattern of manipulation and retaliation because I finally stopped giving them money. Do you need time off? Resources? We have employee assistance programs. I'm fine. I appreciate the concern, but I'm handling it through legal channels. I just need you to know that if you receive any more anonymous complaints about me, they're likely coming from the same source and should be disregarded." "Absolutely. And Michael, if there's anything we can do to support you through this, please let us know." "Thank you." I left the meeting feeling vindicated. They'd tried to sabotage my career, and it had backfired. David called that afternoon with an update. I sent the response letter to their attorney. Haven't heard back yet, but I'm guessing they'll back down once they realize we have Emily dead to rights on the fraud charges. And if they don't back down, then we file charges, criminal and civil, and we countersue for malicious prosecution, harassment, and emotional distress. We have everything we need, Michael. They have nothing but hurt feelings and entitlement. Good. One more thing. Your building's security called. Emily tried to enter your building this morning. My stomach dropped. What? She told the guards she lives there, that you were illegally preventing her from accessing her residence. They checked the records, confirmed she's never been a resident, and escorted her off the property. They've flagged her photo. If she comes back, they'll call the police. She actually tried to claim she lives in my penthouse? Apparently. She's desperate, Michael. She thought she was going to get your place, and now she's facing fraud charges and has nowhere to go. People like her don't handle consequences well. Let me know if she tries again. Will do. That night, I sat in my penthouse and looked at the view. The city spread out below me. Lights twinkling. Life continuing as normal. For everyone else, nothing had changed. For me, everything had. And despite the chaos, despite the angry messages and the social media attacks and the attempted career sabotage, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Because I'd finally done what I should have done a decade ago. I'd said no, I'd set boundaries. I'd protected myself. And I wasn't going back. By day 3, the threatening messages from extended family started to taper off. Word was spreading about what had actually happened. About the assault, about Emily's fraud, about the years of financial exploitation. Some relatives quietly deleted their angry messages to me. A few even apologized. Cousin James called again. "Dude, I'm hearing more of the story now. Your sister tried to steal your identity? Your parents have been bleeding you dry for years? Why didn't you tell anyone?" Because I felt guilty. Because they're family. Because I thought I owed them something. You don't owe them shit. You know that now, right? I know. Others doubled down. Aunt Linda sent a long email about how family is forever and forgiveness is godly, and how I was throwing away the people who raised me over money. I responded once. They threw me away the moment they decided hitting me was acceptable. The money was just the excuse. Don't contact me again. She didn't. By day 4, my parents' counterattack arrived. The letter came via courier to my office. Hand-delivered, marked personal and confidential. From a law firm I didn't recognize. I called David before even opening it. Got something? Letter from my parents' lawyer. Want me to read it to you? Go ahead. I opened the envelope and read aloud. Dear Mr. Chen, this firm represents Richard and Michelle Chen regarding your recent actions toward your elderly parents. We have been retained to address the following serious concerns. 1. Financial abandonment. You have unilaterally terminated financial support your parents had come to. Reasonably and detrimentally rely upon for basic living expenses. 2. Elder abuse. Your actions constitute abandonment and emotional abuse of vulnerable elderly individuals. 3. Defamation. You have made false and damaging statements about your parents and sister to third parties. 4. Assault. Witnesses report you physically threatened your father at a family gathering. Unless you immediately resume all financial support, issue a public apology, and cease all defamatory statements, we will have no choice but to pursue legal action for damages, including but not limited to emotional distress, reputational harm, and economic losses. You have 7 days to respond. Sincerely, Mitchell and Associates. David was silent for a moment. Then he started laughing. Are they serious? Apparently. Okay. First, your parents are 58 and 56. That's not elderly by any legal definition. Second, voluntary financial support isn't a contract. You can terminate it whenever you want. Third, they assaulted you, and we have 80 witnesses. Fourth, everything you've said about them is documented truth, which is an absolute defense to defamation. This letter is garbage. So what do we do? I respond, and I eviscerate them. Give me an hour. David's response letter was delivered that same afternoon. He read it to me over the phone. Dear Counsel, we are in receipt of your letter dated date, and we respond as follows. Your clients are not elderly. They are 58 and 56 years old, fully employed, and in good health. There is no legal basis for a claim of elder abuse. Your clients have no legal right to financial support from their adult son. The support previously provided was purely voluntary and could be terminated at any time for any reason. Your claim of reasonable reliance fails as a matter of law. Furthermore, 1. Your clients committed criminal battery against our client on date in front of 80-plus witnesses. We have photographic evidence of injuries, witness statements, and video footage. 2. Your clients attempted to extort property from our client through public humiliation and physical violence. 3. Your client's daughter, Emily Chen, committed identity theft and loan fraud against our client. We have documented evidence and are prepared to file criminal charges. 4. Your clients have engaged in a coordinated campaign of harassment against our client, including but not limited to false complaints to his employer, social media defamation, and attempts to access his property without permission. Every statement our client has made about your clients is documented, truthful, and constitutes an absolute defense to any defamation claim. If you proceed with this frivolous lawsuit, we will, 1. File criminal charges against Richard Chen for battery. 2. File criminal charges against Emily Chen for identity theft and fraud. 3. Countersue for malicious prosecution, abuse of process, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and harassment. 4. Seek attorney's fees and sanctions for filing a frivolous lawsuit. We will also ensure that all evidence of your client's criminal behavior is forwarded to the appropriate law enforcement authorities and publicized through all available legal channels. You have 48 hours to withdraw this meritless threat and advise your clients to cease all contact with our client, or we will take immediate and aggressive legal action. This letter serves as formal notice that any further contact from your clients or anyone acting on their behalf will be considered harassment and will result in immediate legal action. Regards, David Park, Eschipres. Jesus, I said. You don't mess around. They opened this door. I'm just walking through it. With a sledgehammer. Think they'll back down. They have to. They have nothing, Michael. This was a bluff, and we called it. If they're smart, they'll tell your parents to shut up and go away. David was right. I never heard from Mitchell and Associates again. But the silence from that law firm didn't mean my family was done fighting. It just meant they were changing tactics. It started with emails. Long, rambling emails about how sorry she was, how she'd made mistakes, how she wanted to repair our relationship. I deleted them without reading past the first paragraph. Then came the social media posts. She wrote a long Facebook status about mental health, about how family abandonment was a form of abuse, about how she was struggling and just trying to survive. The post got a lot of sympathy. A lot of people who didn't know the full story commented with support, with outrage at the cruel brother who'd cut her off. I didn't respond, didn't defend myself, didn't engage. David advised me to document everything, but stay silent. Let her dig her own grave, he said. She did. Week 2, Emily posted photos of herself crying. Caption, when your own family abandons you. Lots of comments, lots of support. Week 3, she started a GoFundMe. Help me survive after family abandonment. Goal, $10,000. She raised $3,400 before someone who actually knew the truth commented with the full story. The fraud, the extortion, the assault. The post went viral in a different way. People started demanding refunds. The GoFundMe was shut down for violating terms of service. Emily deleted all her social media accounts after that. Meanwhile, the financial consequences were hitting my parents hard. The first payment they missed was the mortgage. Due on the first of the month, it required $3,100. Money they didn't have because I wasn't paying it anymore. They called the bank to ask for an extension. Denied. Their payment history was already shaky, with multiple late payments over the past year, all paid eventually by me, of course, when they had called panicking. Week 2, they missed the second mortgage payment. The bank sent a notice of default. They had 30 days to bring the account current or face foreclosure proceedings. They tried to refinance. Applied at 3 different banks. All 3 denied them within 48 hours. Too much debt. Not enough income. My father made $62,000 a year as a mid-level manager. My mother made $38,000 as an administrative assistant. Their combined income was $100,000. Decent, but nowhere near enough to support the lifestyle they'd been living. The lifestyle I'd been funding. Their monthly expenses, as near as I could calculate from years of emergency calls, looked something like this. Mortgage, $3,100. Property tax, a monthly, $650. Home insurance, $200. 2 car payments, $980, so car insurance, $340. Credit cards, minimum payments, so $200. Utilities, $400. Well, phone bills, $180. Groceries and expenses, $1,500. Total, $8,550 per month. Their take-home pay after taxes, approximately $6,800. They'd been running a deficit of $1,750 per month for years. I'd been covering that deficit without even realizing how deep the hole was. Now that I wasn't covering it anymore, the house of cards was collapsing. Week 3, one of their cars was repossessed. My father's Lexus, the one he'd insisted he needed for his job, the one I'd co-signed for when his credit wasn't good enough. The loan was in both our names, which meant when they stopped paying, it affected my credit too. I called David immediately. They're tanking my credit score. We can fix that. I'll send a letter to the credit bureaus explaining the situation and getting your name removed from the loan. It'll take a few weeks, but it won't permanently damage your credit. And the car? Let it get repossessed. That's on them. The deficiency balance will be their problem, not yours. Week 4, the credit cards started going to collections. 3 cards, all with my parents as primary holders, but with my phone number listed as the emergency contact. Debt collectors called me at all hours. Mr. Chen, we're trying to reach Richard Chen regarding an outstanding balance of $8,400. Not my debt. Not my problem. Remove my number from your records. Click. They'd been living on credit cards for years, paying minimums while the balances grew. Now those bills were coming due, and they had no way to pay them. My mother tried calling me from a new number. I answered without thinking. Michael, please, just listen. I stayed silent. We're losing the house. The bank is foreclosing. We have 60 days to find somewhere else to live or they're going to evict us. Please, just this once. Just help us with the mortgage. We'll pay you back, I swear. How? I interrupted. How will you pay me back? You've never paid me back. Not once. Not in 10 years. We will this time. We'll get second jobs. You won't. You'll take my money, solve your immediate problem, and in 2 months you'll be right back here asking for more. Because that's what you've always done. That's who you are. Michael, please. We're your parents. We raised you. Doesn't that mean anything? You raised me to be your retirement plan, your emergency fund, your backup bank account. Well, I'm closed for business. Figure it out like everyone else has to. You're going to let us become homeless? You're not going to be homeless, Mom. You're going to downsize. You're going to live within your means. You're going to experience what normal people experience when they can't afford a lifestyle. I can't believe you're doing this to us, your own parents. I can't believe you hit me in front of 80 people and then tried to sue me, but here we are. I hung up and blocked the number. Week 6, they tried to sell the house. Listed it for $850,000, what they thought it was worth. The market disagreed. They got one offer, $720,000. But they owed $780,000 on the mortgage after years of refinancing and pulling equity out for vacations and cars and emergencies. They couldn't sell without bringing $60,000 to closing, money they didn't have. The house went into foreclosure. Week 8, the electricity got shut off. My mother had been paying the utility bill with a credit card that was now maxed out and closed. They had to set up a payment plan and pay a deposit to get service restored. Week 10, they were served with eviction papers. The bank had completed the foreclosure process. They had 30 days to vacate. Through all of this, the calls kept coming, from different numbers, from relatives who'd been recruited to plead their case. Uncle Robert, Michael, they're your parents. You can't just let them end up on the street. They won't end up on the street. They'll end up in an apartment they can actually afford. Aunt Linda, this is cruel, Michael. Cruel and heartless. How do you sleep at night? Better than I did when I was getting 2 a.m. phone calls about financial emergencies every other week. Cousin Sarah, family takes care of each other. You're supposed to help when people are struggling. I helped for 10 years. I gave them over $300,000. Now it's their turn to help themselves. None of them offered to help my parents financially. None of them opened their own wallets. They just wanted me to do it. I didn't. Week 12, my parents moved out of the house. They'd found a 2-bedroom apartment in a complex on the other side of town, $400 a month. Less than half what their mortgage had been, but still a stretch on their income. Emily had to move back in with them. She'd been evicted from her own apartment after 3 months of non-payment. She had nowhere else to go. I heard about all of this through Cousin James, who remained neutral but kept me informed. Your parents are living in a pretty rough area now, he told me over coffee one afternoon. Small apartment, thin walls, they're miserable. Good. Emily's there too, sleeping on the couch. She got a job at Target, but she's only working part-time. Minimum wage. First job she's had in 5 years. Your mom is working overtime to make ends meet. Your dad is looking for a second job. Maybe they should have thought about that before they hit me and tried to steal my home. James sipped his coffee. Do you ever feel guilty? No? Not even a little? James, they hit me. They tried to extort my property. My sister committed fraud. They spent years treating me like an ATM and never once said thank you. Why would I feel guilty for finally setting boundaries? I guess when you put it that way, they're not suffering. They're experiencing consequences. There's a difference. Fair enough. He paused. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. A lot of the family does, actually. We just don't say it out loud because your parents are loud. I appreciate that. Your dad tried to borrow money from me last week. I looked up. What? Yeah, called me out of the blue. Said he needed $5,000 for first and last month's rent. Said you'd abandoned them and they were desperate. What did you tell him? I told him I'd heard his version and your version had evidence, so no, he hung up on me. Sorry you got dragged into this. Don't be. I learned a long time ago that your parents are users. I just never said anything because, family. But yeah, they've been calling everyone. Your dad's siblings, your mom's friends, anyone they think has money, nobody's biting. Good. They're burning bridges left and right. Pretty soon they won't have anyone left. That's not my problem. And it wasn't. For the first time in my adult life, their problems weren't my problems. And God, It felt good. 1 month after the party, 32 days to be exact, I got a message. It came through LinkedIn, the one platform where she could still technically reach me because I needed it for work. I'd locked down every privacy setting, filtered my messages, made myself essentially invisible. But LinkedIn has a way of letting desperate people slip through. The message appeared at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Michael, please, can we talk? I'm homeless." 3 sentences. That's all she sent. Like those 3 sentences could undo years of exploitation and fraud. I stared at the message for a long time. The old me, the me from a year ago, the me who always helped, who always said yes, who carried everyone's problems on his shoulders, that version of me felt a pang. Small, but there. My sister, homeless, living in her car probably, scared, desperate. But then I remembered. I remembered her smirk when my father hit me. I remembered her forging my signature on loan documents. I remembered every time she'd asked for money with a promise to pay it back, and then never did. I remembered her GoFundMe, her lies, her manipulation. I remembered her standing beside my parents as they demanded I give her my home, and the pang disappeared. I clicked on her profile. It hadn't been updated in months. Her last post was from the week before the party, a photo of her at some trendy restaurant captioned, "Living my best life." Living her best life on someone else's dime, as always. I opened the message window and typed, "You're not homeless because of me. You're homeless because you spent 28 years refusing to support yourself, because you chose manipulation over work, entitlement over responsibility. I gave you $73,000 over 3 years. Mom and Dad gave you housing, money, and endless excuses. You had every advantage. You squandered all of them. You're not homeless because I'm cruel. You're homeless because actions have consequences. You tried to steal my identity for a loan. You stood by while our parents assaulted me. You demanded I give you my home. You lied to everyone who would listen, trying to destroy my reputation to get what you wanted. You slapped my life for years. Every time you took my money without gratitude, every time you guilt-tripped me into solving your problems, every time you treated me like an ATM instead of a brother. Now life finally slapped back. Figure it out like everyone else has to. Get a job, get roommates, get real. But don't get me. We're done. Michael." I stared at the message for 30 seconds. Then I hit send. Then I blocked her on LinkedIn. Then I blocked her email addresses. All 4 of them that I knew about. Then I changed my phone number for the second time and made it unlisted. Then I added her to the no-contact list I'd given to building security, my workplace, and anyone else who might be a potential contact point. Then I poured myself a glass of whiskey, good whiskey, expensive whiskey, the kind I could afford now that I wasn't funding 3 other people's lives, and I toasted to freedom. The message haunted me for about 24 hours. I kept thinking about it, kept wondering if I should have said something different, something kinder, something that left a door open. Then I called my therapist. Dr. Rivera had been helping me work through years of family manipulation and guilt. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who specialized in family trauma and codependency. I'd started seeing her 3 months before the party, when I'd first started to realize how unhealthy my family dynamic was. "Michael," she said when I told her about the message, "do you think Emily is actually homeless?" I paused. I hadn't considered that. I don't know. Maybe? Or maybe she's staying with your parents in their apartment, or with a friend, or with a boyfriend, or in any number of situations that aren't actually homeless but sound more dramatic and guilt-inducing. You think she was lying? I think Emily has a pattern of exaggerating her circumstances to manipulate you emotionally. Remember what we talked about? The language she uses? I'm dying. I have nothing. You're killing me. These are catastrophizing statements designed to trigger your guilt response. She was right. Emily had always been dramatic. Always the victim, always in crisis. Even if she is homeless, Dr. Rivera continued, is that your responsibility? No. Why not? Because she's an adult. Because she made choices that led to this. Because I'm not her parent or her caretaker. Exactly. You've done more than enough. You gave her years of support. You gave her opportunities. She chose not to use them productively. Her homelessness, if it's even real, is the consequence of her own decisions, not yours. Then why do I still feel guilty? Because guilt is your family's primary tool of control. They've been conditioning you since childhood to believe that setting boundaries is cruel, that saying no is selfish, that their problems are your responsibility. That conditioning doesn't disappear overnight. How long until it does disappear? She smiled. For most people, about 2 years of consistent boundary setting and therapy. You're 6 months in, you're doing great. It doesn't feel great. It feels like I'm abandoning people who need help. People who need help can get help from social services, from friends, from jobs. They don't need to commit fraud and assault to survive. Emily isn't asking for help, Michael. She's asking you to rescue her from consequences. There's a difference. I knew she was right, but knowing something intellectually and feeling it emotionally are two different things. What if she really is in danger? I asked. What if something happens to her? Then that's tragic, but it's still not your fault. You're not responsible for another adult's safety when that adult has repeatedly harmed you. You're allowed to protect yourself, even if they're struggling. Even if they're family, especially if they're family. Family doesn't mean unlimited access to hurt you. That session helped, but the guilt lingered for a few more days. I caught myself checking her social media profiles, though they were all still deactivated. I caught myself wondering where she was, what she was doing, if she was okay. Then, a week after the LinkedIn message, Cousin James called. Just wanted to give you an update. On. Emily, she's fine. She's not homeless. She moved in with some guy she met online. He's apparently got money. She's posting stories from his place on her private Instagram. One of my sisters is still following her. Relief and anger hit simultaneously. So she lied. Of course she lied. She wanted you to feel guilty and send money. When that didn't work, she found another mark. Jesus. Yeah, your parents are pissed, by the way. Apparently the guy is not good enough for her. Too blue-collar or something. But he's got a house and money, so Emily's happy. How do you know all this? Family Gossip Network. Your aunt talks to your mom, tells my mom tells me. It's like a game of telephone, except everyone's miserable. Are they still struggling? Your parents? Yeah. Your dad got a second job doing retail on weekends. Your mom is working overtime. They're barely making it, but they're making it. Good. You really don't feel bad? James, they lied about Emily being homeless to manipulate me into sending money. Why would I feel bad? Fair point. Just checking. Some of the family thinks you should help, but most of us get it now, especially after the Emily thing. That was a bridge too far, even for people who were on the fence. Thanks for letting me know. No problem. And hey, Michael, you're doing the right thing. I know it doesn't always feel like it, but you are. I appreciate that. After we hung up, the last remnants of guilt dissolved. She'd lied. Of course she'd lied. That's what manipulators do. They exaggerate, catastrophize, and weaponize your empathy against you. And I'd almost fallen for it. Almost. But I hadn't. I'd held my boundary. I'd protected myself, and I was proud of that. 2 weeks later, I heard through a cousin that Emily had moved in with a friend. Then she'd moved in with a boyfriend. Then that boyfriend had kicked her out. Last I heard, she was living with our aunt in another state, working part-time at a retail store, complaining constantly about how hard her life was. My parents were still in the apartment, still struggling, still telling anyone who'd listen that their son had abandoned them, that I was cruel, that they'd done nothing wrong. Some relatives believed them. Those relatives are no longer in my life. Others saw through it. Those people reached out privately to tell me they understood, that they'd seen the pattern for years, that I'd done the right thing. I appreciate them, but I keep them at arm's length. I've learned my lesson about family dynamics. 6 months after the party, I moved. Not far, just to a different building, newer, more secure, better views, a place my family had never seen and could never find. I sold the Riverside Towers penthouse for a profit and bought something even nicer. 24th floor in a building with actual security protocols, facial recognition, verified guest lists, guards who took their job seriously. I changed my email, changed my phone number again, made my social media private with aliases, made myself invisible to anyone from my old life. At work, I thrived. Without the constant stress of family drama, I could focus. I got another promotion, senior vice president, more money, more responsibility, more respect. I started dating Rachel, a woman I met at a work conference. She knew nothing about my family history. When she asked, I said simply, "We're not in contact." And she respected that. I made new friends through work and hobbies. People who saw me for who I actually was. I continued therapy. Worked through the guilt, the conditioning, the years of being told that boundaries were selfish. And slowly, the weight lifted. I stopped waking up anxious. Stopped checking my phone for crisis calls. Stopped feeling responsible for problems I didn't create. I was free.